Hello students, welcome to the next video on triggers. So what is a trigger and why is it useful for? Triggers are stored programs that are executed in response to some kind of event that will occur inside the database. So in database we have several events to occur, and if the user wants to automate the tasks, everything on its own, they can use triggers. So automatically when the user wants to create something, and for instance in a table user wants to insert some records, and if the records is having the age greater than 18, then only the records will be inserted, or else the records will not be inserted automatically. So this can be done with the help of a trigger. Whereas in MySQL, the triggers can be implemented using the DML statements like insert, delete, and update statements. A trigger can be defined to be invoked either before or after. So you can use the trigger in DML statements either before or after the data that is changed. So either you can use that before or after. And if you want to create a trigger in MySQL, you have to use the keyword create trigger. And what is the syntax of creating a trigger? Syntax of creating a trigger is this: create trigger name, and we have to provide before or after, on which DML statement it is for insert, delete, or update, and on which table name, and for each row indicates for every single row the trigger will be initiated, and followed by the trigger statements. And we'll be looking into the declaration of the trigger one by one. So to start with, what is that before or after? Before or after specifies, as the name indicates, when the trigger fires before or after. So you have to find whether the trigger fires before the DML statement or after the DML statement. And similarly, insert, delete, or update indicates which kind of DML trigger you want, whether you want an insert trigger or a delete trigger or an update trigger. And here is the main important thing: for each row. For each row indicates that the trigger will be executed for each and every row executed by DML statement, for each and every row. Again, we have two types of triggers that we'll see later in upcoming slides, but before that I'm just telling you, for each row indicates that the trigger will be used for each and every row present in the table. Here the trigger statements, at the end we have trigger statements in the syntax. It defines the statements that the trigger wants to use. And in order to implement trigger, we can use some modifiers. So what are the kind of modifiers that we can use? New and old. So we have two kinds of modifiers that can be used along with triggers, that is new and old. So what are those modifiers and triggers? Imagine if the trigger is regarding insert, you can use only the new keyword. Why we can use only the new keyword? In the sense, because the trigger, you are initiating a new keyword, you are inserting a new record in the table. So at that time, you don't have any other records present in the table. At the time, you have to use only the new keyword in order to make that indicate the MySQL that is the new record to be inserted into the table. And second one is the delete. If the trigger is regarding delete, then we obviously have to use the old keyword, because we are going to delete only the existing records present in the table. And if the trigger is regarding update, we can use both new as well as old. So if the trigger is regarding insert, we have to use only new keyword. If the trigger is regarding delete, we have to use only the old keyword. If the trigger is regarding update, you can use both new as well as old. What are the different types of triggers that are present? We have two types of triggers. Number one is statement level trigger. So what is a statement level trigger? The statement level trigger is fired once. In our table, we can have any number of rows, but irrespective of the rows, regardless of the rows, it will fire only once. And these statement level triggers cannot be used to access the data. So we are not going to use statement level triggers in our programs. We are going to use the second type, that is a row level trigger. The row level trigger is fired each time the table is affected by a triggering statement. So for each and every row, the trigger is fired and it executes. So in order to implement this in MySQL, we are going to use for each row option. So that's what we have seen in our previous slide also. So for each row option is useful for implementing our row level trigger in MySQL. So in order to illustrate this, we'll see a small example. Hello students, welcome to the practical implementation of triggers using PLSQL. So in this video, we're going to see about how to implement triggers and create it. So first and foremost, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you a table which is already created, which we have used in the previous programs. Select star from employee. As you can see here, this is our table which we are using a cursor also. The same table I'm going to use. And now I'm going to create one more table. Create table. I'm going to create employee one more new table. And I'm giving the same column name int of 4, comma renamed varchar of 20, comma salary float of 4, comma 2. So I'm ditto the same manner. I'm creating one more duplicate table over here. So I'm just giving enter. Now table is created. And if you see in this employee, we have two records. Employee 1 is a brand new table. We don't have any records in employee 1. Now I'm going to write a trigger command over here. So in order to write a trigger command, again we have to type delimiter. I'm getting the double dollar sign. Now this time I'm going to create directly create trigger, and I can give any trigger name. For example, I'm giving TRI1. So trigger 1. So I just created this now, and after that, now what I'm going to do is, as we have seen in our previous slides also, we can use before or after, and we can use any of the 3 DML commands like insert or delete or update. Now in this program, I'm going to use update. And again, this updation, when it happens is after updating, I am going to tell to my trigger to do something. After I update in one particular table, I'm asking my trigger to do something in another table. So what will happen, you'll see here. So just I'm going to give after, and then I'm giving update. So after is one command, update is another command. So next line, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give on table name. Which table name? It's on employee. So on employee, I want to do after update. On employee table, I want to do after update. After I update some values in employee table, what has to be done? And that too for each row I'm telling. For each row it has to happen. So it is none other than row level trigger. So next I'm going to begin my work, and then I'm going to use the insert keyword, insert into employee 1. Now within the parenthesis, I'm going to give all the field names. This is another way of creating inserting the records. EID, ename, comma salary, and then values. Now within the parenthesis, you can provide the values. Now as we have already seen in our slides, we have a new modifier and old modifier. Now we have already seen, like if it is an insert command, if it's an insert trigger, I have to use only the new keyword. If it is a delete trigger, I have to use only the old keyword. If it is update, either I can use new or old, that is my choice. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use old keyword so that we can easily understand how the trigger works. So I'm going to use old dot, so EID. So old, you have to give in capitals, remember that. Again, old dot ename. So whatever is a field names, I'm just prefixing with old keyword, old dot salary. That's it. The job is done. Now I'll press semicolon and I'll end my trigger. So I've created a trigger as of now. Query is okay. I've created a trigger now. Now how to execute this? In order to execute this, we don't have any keywords like call or select. We can't use all those things. So how we have to do this then? Now I created 2 tables. One table is an employee which contains 2 records, and another new table employee 1 which does not contain any record. It is brand new. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the first table, that is employee, and update the values in that. So I'm going to update employee table. Employee set salary is equal to 220 point or 500.0. So I want to create a salary for, I'm going to update the salary as 500 rupees, for which employee I'm going to update this 500 rupees salary for EID equal to 1000. I'm going to update the salary for the employee 1000 as 500. Now I have to give this double dollar sign because that's the delimiter. So now if you see in this update employee set salary equal to 500. So employee ID 1000, for employee ID 1000, already in my table I have 200 salary. Now I'm updating the salary as 500 rupees for only for employee ID 1000. Now I updated it, right? Now, did I insert anything in my new table, employee 1? No, I didn't even insert a single record in my new table. But you see the magic over here. Just I'm typing select asterisk from employee 1 and $sign as a delimiter. When you press enter, you can see over there EID is 1000, E name is Ram, and salary is 200. As you can see, 200 was our old record, that is not the new record. Now after update, what my trigger did is, after I updated the salary as 500, it stored in the new old table as 500, but that old record is there, right? That record alone it copied and pasted in the new table. So old record it copied and pasted in the new table, which we created just now. So now based on this trigger, you can see this, it is automating the tasks. I didn't create that record on my own. I just updated the value in employee table. Automatically, that previous record, the 200 salary record was automatically updated in my new table. But the salary remains the same. Now, if you want to check your old table, select star from employee. There it remains 500. As you can see here. Here Ram salary is 500, but in employee 1 Ram salary is 200. So in employee 1 it is maintaining the old record, whereas in employee table it is maintaining the new record. So based on this, you can even take backups and keep it. So triggers are also useful in maintaining backups. So you need not delete our old data. Old data will be there somewhere. You can create a trigger automatically when someone updates. So this is the main use of using triggers over here. I hope so you understood this. Now we'll get back to the slides. So we came to the end of the video. In the next video, we'll be seeing about exceptions. I hope so you understood the meaning of triggers in this video. Thank you.